Learn English through stories. Intermediate English. The Little Match Girl. A poor girl lights a single match in the freezing night and suddenly steps into a world more magical than reality. What secret do those tiny flames reveal? Through this emotional story, you'll not only improve your English but also explore powerful themes of hope, imagination, and compassion that touch the human heart. Stay with us, read carefully, and imagine each moment. What would you see in the light of a single match? Don't just learn English, feel it, live it, and let it change you. New Year's Eve. It was a cold and dark New Year's Eve. Snow fell on a poor little girl named Ain. She walked the empty streets without a hat or shoes, trying to sell matches. Matches? Who will buy my matches? She whispered. But no one heard her. Everyone was inside, celebrating with their families. So very cold. The little girl's feet were red and blue from the cold. She had lost her mother's old slippers, which were too big for her anyway. The wind was sharp and bit at her thin clothes. She could smell delicious food and hear happy laughter coming from the warm houses all around her. A small shelter. Anne found a little corner between two houses and sat down, pulling her cold feet up under her. She was too afraid to go home. She had not sold a single match, and she knew her father would be angry. It was almost as cold in her own home as it was here. A tiny flame. Her hands were numb with cold. What if she lit just one match, just one, to warm her fingers? She carefully took one out and struck it against the wall. Scratch! It burst into a bright, warm flame. She held her hands over it, and it felt so wonderfully good. The iron stove. In the match's light, the brick wall seemed to disappear. Ain saw a large room with a beautiful, shining iron stove. A fire burned warmly inside. Oh, how lovely! She stretched out her feet to warm them too, but then the flame went out. The stove was gone. The cold wall. The vision vanished. Ain was left holding the small burnt end of the match. All she saw now was the thick, cold wall of the house. The cold felt even deeper than before. The wind howled, and she shivered, feeling desperately alone in the dark street. Another light. She had to feel that warmth again. She took out another match and struck it against the wall. It lit up, and the light shone on the wall. This time, the wall became as clear as glass. She could see right through it into a dining room. The roasted goose. On the table was a clean white cloth, fine dishes, and a huge roasted goose, steaming and ready to eat. Suddenly, the goose jumped off the platter. With a knife and fork still in its back, it waddled across the floor, straight towards her. The match goes out. The goose was almost close enough to touch. Amy could almost smell the delicious food. But then, just as it reached her, the second match went out. The vision disappeared. She was alone again in the dark, with only the cold, hard wall in front of her. A Christmas tree. She lit a third match. Now she was sitting under the most beautiful Christmas tree. It was much larger and more lovely than the one she had seen through the rich merchant's window. It was decorated with shiny ornaments and colourful balls that glowed in the light. Candles to the sky. Thousands of bright candles burned on the green branches of the tree. As Arne looked up, the candles began to rise higher and higher. They flew up into the dark night sky, and she realized they had turned into the bright, twinkling stars. A falling star. Just then, one of the stars fell from the sky, leaving a long, fiery trail behind it. "Someone is dying," the little girl whispered. Her old grandmother, Elsa, who was now in heaven, had told her that a falling star means a soul is going to God. Remembering grandmother. Owen struck another match on the wall. In the circle of light, she saw a clear, kind face. It was her dear grandmother, the only person who had ever truly loved her. She had passed away, but now she was here, looking so gentle and loving. A loving face. "Grandmother!" cried Arne. Her grandmother looked so bright and beautiful in the warm light. She had never looked so lovely before. She smiled down at Annie, and a feeling of peace and love washed over the little girl, warming her more than any fire. "Take me with you!" Anne knew what would happen. "Oh, please don't go," she cried. "I know you will disappear when the match burns out, just like the warm stove, the roasted goose, and the Christmas tree." She was terrified of being left alone in the cold and dark again. A blaze of light. To keep the vision of her grandmother with her, Annie quickly struck the whole bundle of matches. They flared up with a wonderful, brilliant light, even brighter than the sun at noon. She had to keep her grandmother here. She could not let her go. Together at last. In the magnificent light, her grandmother looked more beautiful and real than ever. She had never seemed so tall or so grand. She smiled, opened her loving arms, and took little Arne into them, lifting her up from the cold, hard ground. No more cold. They flew upwards together in glory and joy, high above the earth. They went to a place where there is no cold, no hunger, and no fear. They were going to be with God, where they would be safe and happy together forever. The New Year's dawn. In the cold dawn of the new year, the sun rose. In the corner between the two houses stood the little girl, her cheeks rosy and a peaceful smile upon her lips. She was leaning against the wall, frozen to death on the last night of the old year. A sad discovery. People walked by on their way to work and church. They saw the little girl and stopped. "The poor thing," one of them said softly. "She must have frozen in the terrible cold." They looked at her small, still body with pity. Burnt matches. Someone noticed the pile of almost completely burnt matches that lay beside her. "She was trying to keep herself warm," another person said, shaking their head. They felt a moment of sadness for the little girl they had never noticed before. Beautiful visions. But no one could know the beautiful things she had seen. No one could imagine the wonderful visions that had filled her final moments. They didn't know that in the light of the matches, She had found more warmth and joy than many people find in their whole lives. A new beginning. And no one knew that she had gone with her grandmother into the bright joy of the new year. She had entered a new life, in a place where she would always be warm, always be loved, and would never have to feel hunger or sadness again. A message for us all. This story reminds us that even in the darkest and coldest of times, hope and imagination can bring light and warmth. It also reminds us to show compassion and kindness to those who are suffering. May we never overlook those who suffer in silence right beside us. A small act of love can make a very big difference. What about you? In the darkest moments of life, what brings you hope? Is it a memory, a dream, a person you love, or something you imagine for your future? What gives you strength when everything feels cold and difficult? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your words might be the light that inspires someone else. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share for more fun English lessons.